At the Avengers Tower, Tony Stark rests in his spare time watching the actions of the Avengers members in case they need his help. He bets they will after the team has disbanded. In Jotunheim, Thor brings his thunder to strike at the Frost Giants as usual and has the odds of 62% of doing this mission on his own. Hulk literally sits at a 96% smash probability, and Hawkeye doesn't even need his help. Jarvis teases him as he always loses the bet and assumes that Tony already owes $15 million to himself, also tells him if he wants to join the mission, he could just contact them. However, Tony says they broke up the band for a reason. As he predicted, Earth is doing fine without the Avengers. At the same time, an alarm blares out indicating that Captain America is now in danger dealing with Hydra. Tony can't believe it as Cap used to take out a bunch of Hydra with one arm and a rolled-up newspaper. However, Red Skull shows up, which shocks Tony again as he thinks Red Skull is long dead. Jarvis informs him that satellites confirm it's really Red Skull. Tony then suits up and orders Jarvis to upload those coordinates into his navigation. Cap insults Red Skull, feeling sorry for him that he came all the way from the dead to chalk up another loss. But this time it might be different, as Red Skull brings a double laser gun with him to deal with Cap. Tony lets Cap wait for a few more seconds for him to arrive, but he is too late as Cap is burned by Red Skull's gun, which leaves only his shield. He yells in pain at the death of Cap, and Red Skull thought Iron Man didn't have a heart. Tony demands that he drop the shield, yet he refuses. He lets Tony consider it as a symbol of a new dawn and his demise. As Hydra soldiers go to attack Tony, he orders Jarvis to give him a pre-play simulation. The scans show that their tech is hardwired to their central nervous systems, which surprises Tony as Hydra has never been that advanced. He releases many missiles to destroy the Hydra soldiers. As he attempts to strike at Red Skull, his armor is suddenly breached and he is hit with a shield by Red Skull. He despises Tony as Tony is nothing without his technology and hides behind the armor, which he doesn't have to make a sacrifice for victory. In the suit, Jarvis informs him that he only has 20% of power left. At the same time, MODOK suddenly appears in front of him. MODOK then uses his power to control Tony, and he never knew that MODOK also teamed up. Red Skull tells Tony that MODOK has graciously upgraded his army, and MODOK's technopathic abilities work wonders with machines, even Tony's machine. Suddenly, Red Skull and MODOK leave in the portal and leave Tony alone. He mourns Cap's death and asks Jarvis to activate the Avengers protocol. In New York City, while Hawkeye captures the thieves for the police, he is called out by Tony to join the mission once again. Hawkeye thinks this is a joke and looks out for hidden cameras, but Tony states it's legit and tells him the Avengers code to confirm. Tony needs him, and the rest of the Avengers members are also called out by Tony. At the Avengers Tower, Sam Wilson goes to get his suit up, and Jarvis tells him that Tony suggests he should wear the War Machine armor, but he rejects it and gives his Project Red Wing armor its first test drive. In the Quinjet, Hawkeye greets Thor as they haven't seen each other for a long time, and Thor also never heard Tony so serious like this. Not long after, Hulk hops on the Quinjet, which makes it lose control, but Hawkeye saves them in time. He asks Thor to get rid of Hulk. Both of them then get into a fight where Thor swings his hammer and hits Hulk in his face, but as Hulk is about to strike back, Hawkeye steps in to stop them. Tony informs them that the Avengers are reassembling, which is handpicked by him and under his command. He also informs them of the death of Cap, who was taken down by MODOK and Red Skull. While they are together, the world is at risk, and besides, they have to avenge Cap, and Tony needs all of them as he can't do it alone. As they leave, Black Widow investigates them, and she also got called out by Tony as well, but she decides not to join and inform someone about the reunion of the Avengers. In Antarctica, Red Skull and MODOK get into an argument. Instantly, the alarm blares out, which Red Skull doesn't expect Tony would come so soon. While on the way, missile systems set up in Antarctica are coming at the Quinjet, which leads Thor and Hawkeye to handle the situation. However, MODOK hacks the Quinjet, and they are all blown off in it, but fortunately, they are still alive. Apparently, MODOK has increased his range as well as his power level, which is bad for the Avengers. Tony lets them hit everything hard, which means there is no plan from Tony at all, and Hawkeye thought he was the smart one. However, Hulk likes this plan so much. Without waiting long, they go to destroy every one of Hydra's soldiers. Black Widow also arrives at Antarctica and despises the Avengers members that Tony chose. However, Tony is controlled by MODOK again, but two flash booms are thrown at MODOK, which flash his eyes immediately and force him to release Tony. Nonetheless, it was Black Widow who steps in to help Tony, and she wants to make sure that Tony needed her before she accepted his invite. Red Skull then calls out MODOK to return back as it is time to finish their work. As Tony confirms to Black Widow that Cap's death is true, she tells him to stop working solo and lead the team before he loses more friends. However, Tony doesn't have any information about MODOK, so he asks the Avengers for ideas, and Black Widow lets him scan for Red Skull instead, as he is a super soldier alumnus and his blood has trace isotopes that will show up on a chemical scan. At once, Tony accesses the super super soldier files to scan for a chemical match and finds out there are 2 targets, so he rushes to Red Skull's base immediately. While on the way, the Avengers are pinned down by automated defenses, and Hawkeye asks Tony for some tech help, but Tony lets them rub their brains and come up with a plan. As Tony arrives at the base, he is surprised to see that Cap is still alive, and Red Skull is transferring his mind into Cap's body. Tony destroys the connection instantly and helps Cap out of there. He thought Cap was fried back then, but Cap was teleported instead, and Tony is glad to see him once again. However, Tony is attacked by Red Skull, as he has already controlled Cap's body. He can't believe Tony didn't see this coming. He tells Tony he was dying by the serum that gave him such strength all these years, and he finds a method to keep himself from perishing, as MODOK's power is the key to transfer his being into Cap's body. He states he is the end of the Avengers. However, Cap appears behind Red Skull to give him a punch to the face. At once, Red Skull fires his gun back at Cap, making him weak. Tony asks Jarvis if Sam has left the tower, and as he receives the news that Sam is on his way, he immediately activates an electromagnetic pulse to shut down all the working tech in the base, including his armor. Cap acknowledges him as a smart one, but he thinks this method is pretty dumb. Yet Tony knows what he's doing, and suddenly Sam arrives just in time to punch Red Skull. Sam wants an explanation from Tony about why he orders him to hit Cap. He always wanted to meet Cap, and knocking him out is not a way to meet his hero. Later, he finds out that Cap and Red Skull have switched brains. Not long after the Avengers arrive at the base, and Tony's suit power is restored. Tony then gives the plan to the Avengers. Thor and Hulk have to keep MODOK off balance to avoid Tony from being controlled by him. Widow and Hawkeye have to get Cap to the brain switch machine, and Falcon has to assist the Avengers to make things work. Hulk and Thor then start to smash Hydra soldiers to get to MODOK, and together they clap to create thunder to take him out. Red Skull is now beaten up, and Tony puts him back to switch the brain with Cap. Sam then activates the system, and eventually Cap returns to his normal body. Cap thanks Tony for coming to save him, and as Red Skull hears Hawkeye call Tony leader, he realizes that all these years he has been going about it wrong, as he thought Cap was the leader of the Avengers. He then orders MODOK to control Tony and create a barrier where the Avengers can't get to him. Also, MODOK takes Tony's suit, and his arc reactor transfers to Red Skull to keep him alive, and they immediately teleport out of the base. Cap watches Tony in shock, and he asks Cap to avenge him just like he did for Cap. While carrying Tony out, Cap begs him to stay alive. However, Tony responds with how he can die in peace if Cap is yelling at him like that. Cap asks Sam to scan Tony for his condition. Sam compares him to a vehicle, saying that if he were a car, he would be running on fumes, and Tony needs medical and tech now. However, the Quinjet is already destroyed. Fortunately, Black Widow brought her ride and asks Hulk not to rip her leather. As it's crowded in the car, Hawkeye suggests Hulk stay outside as he can jump. Black Widow lets Tony hold on a little as there is NATO hospital in Reykjavik, and they would arrive in 20 minutes if there is no traffic. Sam says the hospital won't help him, only Tony's armor that can keep him alive, specifically the arc reactor. Tony lets Black Widow get him to the Avengers mansion. While arriving, Cap quickly gets him to the lab and attaches a power cord into Tony and turns on the power to bring him back to consciousness. After waking up, Tony thanks Sam for not electrocuting him on his first day as an Avenger, and Sam asks Tony to say that again into his phone so he could make it as his ringtone. In the submarine, Red Skull is amazed at Tony's armor, as it is a greater prize than Cap's body. It not only keeps him alive, but it also makes him beyond flesh and bone. As MODOK says, Iron Man is gone. Red Skull reproaches him, saying MODOK has learned nothing. It isn't enough to beat one Avenger, and to fully triumph, Red Skull states they must destroy everything that the Avengers represent. Red Skull gives out his plan to MODOK to strike on the Avengers mansion while they heal Tony's wound, so MODOK sends off his microbots to possess the Avengers. In the mansion, Tony now suits up with his new armor, the Mark 50, which is more efficient and more powerful than any of his arc reactor models. However, the reason Tony activates the Avengers protocol is that he thought Cap was gone, and now that Cap is still alive, Tony disbands the team once again. Hawkeye can't believe he reboots the Avengers just to break them up again, and this is why Hulk hates people. Hawkeye says he loves to do his own thing when Black Widow asks if he misses the team. About Black Widow's shield sent her to keep an eye on Hawkeye to make sure he doesn't blow up Manhattan. Hulk and Thor come to see the room they used to train with each other, and Thor challenges him once again to battle. Thor then strikes him first by throwing his hammer, but Hulk dodges it easily and hops on Thor to keep him on the ground. At once, Thor calls back his Mjolnir to swing on Hulk again, but Hulk claps to scatter him away. However, Thor throws Mjolnir to Hulk just in time before he hits the wall. Unfortunately, MODOK's microbots fly into Hulk's mouth, and he is now possessed by MODOK and attacks Thor immediately. Cap wants an explanation from Tony of why he disbanded the team again, to which Tony says he led the Avengers for only a day and almost lost everyone. Tony is not afraid of what could happen to him. He worries that he might lead them somewhere and couldn't bring them back. Suddenly, the mansion starts shaking where Thor and Hulk break through the statue floor. Black Widow notices that something is wrong with Hulk, who is now possessed by MODOK. Thor is also possessed, and soon they continue their fight. Thor is pressed by the statue thrown by Hulk. Unfortunately, Hawkeye and Black Widow are also controlled by MODOK, and the four of them begin to create chaos in the mansion. As the battle rages between the Avengers members, Jonah Jameson broadcasts the news to the people. He hears that the Avengers have just reunited, and now they are tearing each other apart. Red Skull and MODOK teleport to the mansion, and MODOK states that his plan is working while Red Skull plans to take the country next by using the Avengers as a weapon. Cap asks Sam to help him control the situation, but Tony scans to see what happened and accidentally blasts the screen because his suit is not fully developed yet. As Tony asks Jarvis what is going on, he informs Tony that the team has unusually high levels of aggression. Cap shows up to stop the Avengers, and Tony realizes that microbots of MODOK have possessed the Avengers and are going to possess Cap next. Immediately, Tony reports to Sam to get him out of there as he does not have a face mask to defend himself, but the minute he opens his mouth, the microbots fly into him. At the underground, Red Skull places a bomb in the mansion's reactor to blow up the city. Tony then asks Jarvis to scan the Avengers for any signs of MODOK or Red Skull, but they find nothing because MODOK has them cloaked. So Tony orders Jarvis to scan for mission or distorted information instead, and eventually Tony gets the location of both of them. MODOK finds this fun and wishes he had invented that technology sooner, but Tony shows up behind him and blasts him off. Tony concentrates on the Avengers members to fire his tech to break MODOK's mind control, and they all return to normal. After everything is fine, Tony left MODOK for Hulk to smash his head off while he and the other members go to confront Red Skull. Cap lets Tony lead him, and as Tony scans Red Skull for his weaknesses, he orders Hawkeye to short out Red Skull's armor. Then he gets detonated by Black Widow, and as he opens wide, Thor throws his hammer to break him off. Lastly, Sam strikes spikes from his wing through Red Skull's armor. Before Red Skull teleports off, he declares that he will soon take their lives and their honor by leaving a scar on this nation that will forever be blamed on the Avengers. Suddenly, the mansion's reactor is bombed, and all of the reactor's safety systems are disabled by Red Skull and MODOK. They only have 90 seconds to stop the reactor from blowing up the city, so Tony tells Sam they need a coil gun that can fire a small sun, and Thor and Sam are the pair as they have lots of electricity and speed. Tony orders those who are not shielded by armor or gamma-irradiated skin to clear the area of civilians. Thor and Sam then create a thunderstorm to cover the mansion. Hulk throws the reactor straight into the vortex as hard as he can, and Tony blasts the reactor to send it off to the moon, and finally the city is saved. As the plan failed, MODOK suggests Red Skull strike on the Avengers again, as they have the Avengers' weaknesses, and before the Avengers have time to regroup to attack them back. However, because Tony has many strong members in the team, Red Skull must do the same if he wants to succeed. So he sends signals to call out Atuma, Dr. Doom, and Dracula to join his team to destroy the Avengers together. At the Avengers Tower, Tony meets with other members to discuss Red Skull, who almost takes them out by teaming up with MODOK. Tony informs the Avengers that Red Skull is planning to return with even stronger allies, which he learned from S.H.I.E.L.D., who passed along the message to him. In order to keep the Avengers together, Tony announces that Stark Industries is their new home. Soon after, Jarvis reports that a monster is smashing the Great Wall of China and heading towards Beijing. The Avengers immediately suit up and depart in the Avenger Prime, which is a new jet designed specifically for the team. And that's the end of this episode. If you enjoy this series and would like me to do another episode, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new content.